What's up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Adventure Capitalist Podcast. My name's Austin Bronner. I'm here with my co-host, Cody Shirk. The Adventure Capitalist Podcast is for the uncommon man. And today we've got an uncommon topic. Today's episode is about war dog investing. And I think it's an episode that you're going to really, really enjoy. Cody, why are we talking about this episode?
We're talking about this episode because of a couple of reasons. Number one, there's a meme that's going around that people have seen, which is this, is the cure to male loneliness starting a private military company with your friends? And it's kind of this joke that men want to get together and be in a team and do these important things. So that's one. The second thing is I wrote an article about this, which is want to be a war dog investor. There's a ton of money to be made. And this article, which I wrote in 2017, has since been one of my highest trafficked articles. And still to this day, I get emails from people asking questions about it. And then the third thing a reason why we wanted to bring this up is because of the state of the world right now. And with the new president in charge in the US, we strongly believe that there's going to be some specific opportunities in this industry, which is being a war dog investor. Now, all of that said, after this episode, if you have not seen the movie War Dogs, you have to go see it. Even if you don't want to participate in this investment idea, the movie is funny, it's entertaining, it's true, and it's a must watch because there's a lot of historical and present day references that would make you a more educated person as it pertains to war dog investing. So that's the rundown of why we're talking about it.
The intro from this episode today is from the movie War Dogs. So let's just dive into what's the first topic. Cody, what is a war dog investor?
A war dog investor is somebody who looks for government contracts and provides or services those contracts after applying via a government website. Specifically, we're talking about the U.S. government. The U.S. government is very transparent in how they acquire goods, whether it's ammunition, toilet paper, furniture, anything. The government has to go out and bid for these items, and anybody can go bid for them. So this idea that you're a war dog investor is that you are investing and providing the actual materials to go fight a war. And believe it or not, the actual guns and bullets are really the smallest amount of supplies that go into fighting a war. The real big parts are the stuff that just goes through everyday things like housing materials and linens and sheets and t-shirts and food and all that type of stuff. And all of those are investing opportunities.
And I mean, if you've listened to the show for a while, like we talk a lot about picks and shovels opportunities. And a lot of what we're talking about here today is kind of like the picks and shovels that keep wars rolling. When there's conflict, what are the things that need to be supplied for the conflict to continue? And the money's being spent. Can you get yourself involved with it? So let's dive into a little bit about War Dogs. So War Dogs is a movie directed by Todd Phillips based on this true story. It came out in 2016 of two young men, Ephraim Diveroli and David Packhouse, who won a $300 million contract from the Pentagon to arm America's allies in Afghanistan. It's a true story. Again, it's a true story, but there's a lot of liberties taken in the movie. Cody, do you want to break down kind of like what happened here, the parts that you know that are true, and what actually happened, and to give some context about what they did right and what they did wrong?
So I won't give away too much because you need to go see the movie. But as you just said, there's two guys, David and Ephraim, and they win this.
And they were young. They were real young.
Really young, in their early 20s. And they really just faked it till they made it. And the contract that they were going after was this $300 million ammunition contract. And the process for them to actually land the contract involved them applying, showing all these proofs of financing and that they could actually get the deal done. And they got the contract. Now, the part that they really screwed up on is that they actually got the ammunition. I won't give it away. Go watch the movie. But they got the ammunition through a way that they shouldn't have gotten it. And it ended up where they got the ammunition for very, very cheap. And so the spread between how much they had to pay for the ammunition and how much the US government was paying them was enormous. Again, they got the contract for $300 million. The problem is that ammunition ended up being illegal for them to not only possess, but also sell back to the US government. And again, that's where the whole movie goes. And also their relationship and the whole contract unwinds. But the point is that they could have easily pulled this off with other contracts, maybe that weren't so dangerous, or let's just say complicated as ammunition. And the opportunity exists today in 2025. In fact, I would argue it may exist even more now than ever, because Trump has specifically stated that he wants to take a lot of wars private. He did this his last term, and also with the reshuffle of everything going on in government, there's going to be a lot of contracts up for bidding in the near term.
And one of the reasons we want to do this episode was kind of like demystify this idea of being a war dog investor, because it's really, when you hear war dog investor, it's like, oh, you're selling bullets. Even in the movie, selling bullets, you're selling arms, being an arms smuggler. That's just a very small part of the opportunity to be a war dog investor. And really what we're going to talk about as we go through this, it's the process of finding government contracts, finding suppliers, and then taking a spread on the fulfillment. So if you can fulfill something for less than the contract, then you get to keep the difference. And there's lots of opportunities here. I think.
So let's give two examples really quickly. So the listener realizes that this isn't just about guns and bullets. So first one that I found, this is when I wrote the article in 2017, was for toilet paper. Literally, to supply toilet paper to a government facility, it was a $24,000 contract. All you had to do is fulfill this order for toilet paper. So one of the most innocent contracts ever to fulfill. That's one example. The second example, which I found recently, since we've been doing a lot of stuff in Guyana, I wanted to see what type of contracts were out for bid from the US government. So I looked at it, and the US government was looking for health insurance policies for their overseas employees in Guyana, which first of all just seems strange to me, because the US government should know that themselves. But basically, if you're an insurance expert, you can get the insurance policies for these government employees, and the government was willing to pay a certain amount to get this job done. So the point is that those two things, toilet paper and insurance policies, had nothing to do with war, but also the skill set that you may have. Let's say you're an electrician or a plumber, or you're an insurance guy, or whatever your skill set is. There's probably something that is up on the government website right now that you're an expert in, and you may be able to win the contract because of your background.
And again, back to the simple nature of the deal, and why it's possible to do stuff that maybe you don't believe you can do. It's at the core, there's kind of a 3-step process. You find the contract, you apply for it, and then once you win it, you can then go and fulfill it. And this is where there's the opportunity to get involved with stuff that you might currently not be involved with, is if you can secure the contract, and then you can find the suppliers, work with them, and get them to fulfill, for you to be able to buy the stuff from them and then sell it to the US government at a profit. You'll be able to take that spread.
And of course, through this whole process, you establish new relationships. And when the US government realizes you fulfill the contract, you're more of a preferred partner for future applications. And that's an important part of the application part. So
let's kind of dive in here, because you've been doing some research on stuff that's actually happening right now. So do you want to dive into this? The U.S. security contractors are reportedly going to manage the Gaza checkpoints, and what this means.
Yes, and we will get to the actual website and actually talk about how you do this. But we wanted to bring up this story because this just happened a couple days ago, and is exactly like you said. In Gaza, there are private military contractors currently being deployed in order to stabilize the region and control some entry and exit points of this part of the world. And there's two companies. One is called Safe Reach Solutions, and the other is UG Solutions. They both got this contract, which, by the way, they haven't stated publicly what the amount is. But interestingly, these contracts are funded by the country of Qatar. And so the point is, in this example, is that these are U.S. companies getting a contract from a different foreign country to operate in another country. And again, I think this is going to be a bigger and bigger trend going forward. So according to reports, this specific scenario in Gaza, SRS developed the operational plan. So this company developed this plan, while UG Solutions will deploy around 100 armed personnel, including U.S. military veterans and former CIA operatives. Some personnel are Arabic speakers to facilitate communication with locals. Now, this, again, is a pretty complicated example of the types of contracts that are available on the website. But the point is that this is happening right now in real time, and it's highly likely there's going to be a lot more of these in the next year.
So our whole point with this episode is first to share that there are opportunities for you to secure government contracts. If you are an entrepreneur and somebody who is got drive to go do something unique and has, desire to do something that is a little bit adventurous, you can go and look at government contracts and maybe figure out how to get one. So you can go. So first, let's just talk about how to actually look for government contracts. So you can go to sam.gov.
And
so
that's
sam.gov.
sam.gov.
And then you can search solicitations for the next year and look for contracts and then follow the process to submit an application. So Cody, you said you've been kicking around on this.
Yeah.
What are some interesting ones that you found?
I mean, again, there's so many, it's almost like, what do I pick? That's why you should focus on whatever you're an expert in. But I found a ton of domestic stuff in the US that is very, very vanilla. Again, stuff like paper towel supplies and a cleaning contract to be like the janitorial services at some government building. There's a vehicle fleet services, meaning they need somebody to maintain vehicles. There's just an endless amount of that type of stuff. And this database on sam.gov is where you go to see all this stuff. Make sure you're looking for what are the two things? You want to make sure these are solicitations and you're looking for the next year, meaning they list a lot of the fulfilled contracts. You don't want to be searching through that. You want to be looking at open opportunities for the next year. So make sure you narrow the search down to solicitations for the next year.
So interesting. We were preparing for this episode. And as we were preparing for this episode, you stumbled across a YouTube video from David Packouz.
He's back.
He's back. So David Packouz was one of the partners in the movie War Dogs, and he is now putting out videos and has started a training company that we're 100% not affiliated with. But this training company is designed to help you do exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah, I feel like we're giving them some free advertising here.
But we'd love to, this is a perfect example of somebody we'd love to have on the show, right?
Yeah.
So it's like we found this and we're like, oh, we got to have him on the show to talk about what he's doing here. So, but yeah, basically his training institute is about what we're talking about: how to secure government contracts, how to find suppliers, how to fulfill them, and pocket the difference. And again, probably that's a simplification down to the absolute most simple way to understand what's going on. But it's very interesting. And again, there's both these guys, just for both these guys got in trouble. Packouz was in house arrest for, I think, like 11 months or 7 months. And the other guy went to jail because they fulfilled.
They lied about a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. And a lot of it comes down to, my understanding is like some greed, right? They probably could have done it and made less money. And done it in a legit way. But if you're trying to, again, we have to get the full story, and that's why we want to have him on the show to talk about it a little bit more, like what's the reality versus the Hollywoodization of what happened. But yeah, this is the opportunity, and yeah, there's plenty of them to take a look at it. Hopefully, this is helpful, and we're gonna do more episodes like this. These kind of just like mini episodes where we go into individual opportunities you can take a look at that are kind of off the beaten path. So I hope you guys enjoyed.
And last thing, real quick, just if you want more context on this, go back to our episode 31. We talk about what happened in Venezuela when there were some private military people that went in there recently and they got in trouble. And then go back to our episode 23 with Sean McFate. He is an author and former mercenary, and he's written several different books that talk about this exact scenario. And his belief is that going forward, most wars around the world are going to be fought in this privatized way. And by listening again to episode 23 and episode 31, you'll start to see this picture that becomes very clear for an entrepreneur to say, wow, this is where a lot of opportunities coming for people who want to fulfill these government contracts to fight wars or just supply the actual process to facilitate these government operations. And, you know, if I was maybe a little bit younger, maybe now I'll do it now. Maybe that's my future career. In Hungary, like there's some big money to be made in these industries.
Well, you've got your green military outfit on, so
I'm in the spirit. I wanted to
your
show
fatigues.
that, you know, I'm ready. This is
Fatigues.
yeah, this is part of the step one of the contract, right? Dressing the part.
Hope you guys enjoyed this episode. The one of the best ways you guys can support us if you did enjoy this episode is go write us a review. Go to Apple Podcasts or Spotify, hit us up with a review. And thank you guys. We'll see you on the next episode of the Adventure Capitalist Podcast.